Hello and welcome. I'm Louise Watt with news from around Taiwan in case you missed it. Taiwan is trying to attract more foreign talent to the country, but some of the foreign residents who've lived here for decades are now realizing that when they get ill, they don't get the help they need.
Good job. You're doing really well today.
Taipei resident Katie Ho cares for her British husband, Michael Boyden, at home in the Taiwanese capital. He was diagnosed with atypical Parkinsonism 4 years ago. Despite living and working in Taiwan since the 1990s, Boyden, as a foreign resident, is shut out of disability benefits, including home visits by medical professionals, something that pains his Taiwanese wife.
I know there are a lot of hate or hater on the internet. They also say things like, go back to your home country. My husband arrived here in 1989. He lived here for 34 years. He left his homeland, UK, in his early 20s, where he lived longest, here.
Before he became ill, Boyden was a business consultant and one-time actor in a Taiwanese film.
Welcome to the 84th graduation ceremony for Tanjiang Arts School. Throughout this year, watching outstanding graduates complete.
Now he counts among up to 170,000 foreigners with disabilities in Taiwan. But only foreigners from Japan can claim disability benefits because of a long-standing reciprocal agreement between Taiwan and Japan. With symptoms similar to Parkinson's disease, in the past 18 months, Boyden lost all ability to communicate and now has to be fed through a tube in his stomach every 2 hours. His wife has to keep working to pay for his care. Without a disability certificate from the government, foreign residents can't apply for subsidized medical services or equipment like wheelchairs, and they can't even park in a disabled parking space. A campaign is on to change that. A petition demanding equal rights garnered more than 1,000 signatures, spearheaded by a non-profit group Crossroads, which pushes for a more internationally friendly Taiwan.
As far as Taiwan's currently ramping up its efforts to attract talent due to brain drain and an aging population, Taiwan also needs to kind of look at this issue and this glaring issue, and I think about in terms of not just attracting talent to Taiwan, but how do you retain talent?
The Ministry of Health and Welfare says considering Taiwan's limited resources, it formulates policies and regulations based on the principle that Taiwan's social welfare system should protect the basic rights of citizens. But it also says it has asked the Foreign Ministry to investigate whether Taiwanese in certain countries receive disability benefits, meaning expats from the UK could expect the same protections as Taiwanese living in the UK.
I put some new posts today, Michael.
But for Katie Ho and her husband Michael, any changes that may result from this campaign might come too late.
He really loved Taiwan. Like the people here love the good, bad, and ugly. He loved it. And recently, I think more. I just feel like, I'm so sorry. Taiwan doesn't love you back. That's how strongly I feel.
Ho has learned to look after Boyden without help from the state. In the afternoons, she sits with him, reading updates on social media, and they look at photos of their children and grandchildren. She is making the most of the time they have, and she hopes that her country soon gives its foreign residents equal disability rights, so others will be spared some of what she and her husband are going through.
What's that for? What's that for?
Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus. As foreigners in Taiwan fight for equal disability rights, one legislator is getting on board and hoping he can win a change in the law. South African entrepreneur Andrew Clerk crosses this road near his central Taipei home several times a day. A genetic condition has left him with 2% sight in just one eye. He asked authorities to install a beeping signal, but they told him it's not possible because Clerk doesn't have a disability certificate. He can't get one because he's not Taiwanese.
The government tells the world they really take care of the foreigners and they want foreigners here to come and teach and, come and bring their expertise and start businesses here. But then once you're here, you realize there's those little jabs from the back of like, hey, remember, you're a second-class citizen.
Foreigners like Clerk are shut out of disability services and subsidised transport and medical care because they can't get an official recognition of their disability. Taiwan says it operates on a reciprocal basis when it comes to foreign nationals. But more than 30 years after it first said that, the Taiwanese government has only given equal treatment to residents from one country, Japan. Despite not being part of the United Nations, Taiwan 9 years ago enacted a law to uphold a UN convention protecting the human rights of people with disabilities. By denying them recognition, foreigners say Taiwan is breaking its own law. Legislator Wang Dingyu from Taiwan's ruling party wants to change things. He's tabled an amendment to an existing law that would give foreigners who've lived in Taiwan for a cumulative 10 years the right to be certified as disabled.
They spend their life, maybe decades. They pay tax. They fulfill their duties in Taiwan. When they need help, we cannot ask them to go back to their home, their country. No.
Clerk, who has been in Taiwan on and off for 18 years, would qualify. He helps people build businesses in Taiwan and gives speeches at government-sponsored events to help young people get ahead.
And just make yourself more valuable for the job market. And I'll quickly give you...
Clerk's Taiwanese partner is proud of his contributions and hopes his country soon allows him to be eligible for subsidised medical equipment and transport and special education for the visually impaired.
I think if Andrew and also other foreigners, if they reside here and they can get such certificate, I think that will be a good improvement and also something encouraging for people to actually to stay here.
As a new generation of foreigners try to find employment and ways to stay in Taiwan, long-time residents hope they will be treated more fairly. Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus. Taiwan is a rapidly aging society, and with greater age comes greater health risks. As the population gets older, a new issue is emerging: double aging families. Harel Hughes takes a look at how relatives who rely on each other for care are worried for the future.
A hand-painted present and cake to celebrate another year of life. But the celebration also highlights a growing problem in Taiwan. Families like this are referred to as double aging households. That's when both the caretakers and the people they look after get older. Xiao Chun is 40 years old and has cerebral palsy. She lives with her family and relies on them for her daily needs. But as her parents grow older, her future care comes into question. What will happen after they are gone?
他还是很多岁啊，爬楼梯啊，做什么都爬不上去啊。生气那不讲话，不走，不吃不喝，什么都不要了。年纪也高了，就是没有办法，给他那个担心他以后怎么办。
Government figures estimate 1.2 million people in Taiwan have some kind of disability. Among them, over 940,000 people are over the age of 45. More than 90% of people live at home, and nearly 70% of people need assistance in their daily life. At care centers for people with disabilities, the problem of double aging families is apparent.
我们遇到的族群几乎是有半数以上，住宿型的服务或是未来的一些信托的一些使用的话，照顾者有哪一天出现了一些状况，没办法再继续照顾的时候，常常会出现，这会变成社会上的一个危机。
Taiwan is predicted to become a super-aged society by 2025, where over 20% of the population is aged 65 and above. The country's current solution for long-term care is to rely on migrant care workers. But with a range of problems, including cost of care and labor rights abuses, a more comprehensive solution is needed. Andy Shui and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has been called a living hell for pedestrians. Pavements or sidewalks are often missing, and the few that do exist are regularly blocked by scooters or cars. It's bad enough for able-bodied residents, but as John Van Trieste now reports, so much worse for people in wheelchairs.
Nearly 2 months after her accident, Lin Junjie's arm is still in a sling. While on her way to a meeting in Taipei on disability issues, her wheelchair went over a sidewalk curb she couldn't see was there. On Tuesday, she joined a press conference with other people with disabilities, bearing a message. It's time to make Taiwan's walkways fully accessible.
步道跟车道之间，它其实是有高低差，而且10来公分的高低差，我就没有认为它会是有个台阶，所以轮椅直接就开下去，然后人就飞扑到街上。
At least one lawmaker was at the event to offer support. The Interior Ministry now says it will work with the Transportation Ministry to deal with curbs under 20 centimeters high, ensuring accidents like Lin Junjie's won't happen again. But accessibility advocates say high curbs are just one of the obstacles people in wheelchairs face.
因为所有权是他的，所以围起来违章，那是违章了哈。围起来，当他的停车位，很多都是把它当成家里的停车位、私有停车位，要不然就是什么围起来做生意、商店的一部分，这个都是违法。但是我们的政府机关没有人敢去取缔。
Last year, Taiwan made global headlines when an article called the country a pedestrian hell. With illegally parked scooters, narrow pathways, and uneven pavement, the country's infrastructure is already less than ideal for people without disabilities. For people with disabilities, getting around is that much harder. Justin Wu and John Van Trieste in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A factory in central Taiwan has won an award for being a welcoming place for people with disabilities. Nearly a third of the workers experience some form of disability, and all have an important role to play. Here's John Van Trieste again.
After many months of training, Mr. Xu is now a star employee at this paper factory. Mr. Xu has an intellectual disability that might have seen him turned away from other workplaces. But here, he is one of 6 staff members with some form of disability. That may not seem very many, but it's more than 30% of employees at this small paper company called Jinli Huo.
这边做5年，然后一开始都不会，然后慢慢学到了就是现在会了，然后有新人来我都会叫他。
The owners say the time and investment put into training disabled staff has more than paid off.
一开始是一定要加一寡时间给因啦，就因豆教安尼，嘿若想像即马因伫阮遮拢住4、5档的啊。
Taiwan's labor ministry recently gave Jinli Huo an award recognizing its inclusive hiring practices.
员工在公司表现可圈可点证明我们身心障碍朋友有爱就无碍对企业的发展非常有帮助。
The ministry is encouraging more businesses to follow this papermaker's lead, working with career centers to set up apprenticeships for people with disabilities. It's hoped initiatives like these will help make Taiwan a place where all citizens can be part of an inclusive workplace. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching. In case you missed it, remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of wheelchair dancers showing off their moves to inspire young students. I'm Louise Watt. Take care, and we'll see you next time.